Hello, everybody, and a pleasant good afternoon, evening, or wherever you may be listening to this, or wherever you are all around the world. I'm Ben Charles. This is another edition of Rasslin and Logic Extra. We're reviewing both AEW Rampage and AEW Dynamite. So we're going to review AEW Dynamite from October 19th, 2022 on last Wednesday's episode. As I mentioned back on the last episode for October 12th, Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley had the big time promo thing to sell this match, and we're going to find out what happens. Hangman Adam Page, Jon Moxley, your main event tonight. First thing we see is William Regal. William Regal set to be interviewed by Tony Schiavone. Renee Paquette will talk to Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta. That's pretty much what's going on with Dynamite. They're building up. This was a Tuesday Night Dynamite edition, so this was a lot of stuff going on, especially on this show. But this was actually one of the better shows AEW has ever done. I will give my thoughts and opinions about this show and Rampage as well. So here you go. All right, everybody. AEW Dynamite from October 19th, 2022. We were live tonight at the Heritage Bank Arena in Cincinnati, Ohio. Death Triangle versus Best Friends for the Trios titles. The Death Triangle, I'm beginning to like them a lot, but via Rampage, we're going to talk about that segment, by the way. Via Rampage, I don't know what's going on between Pac and Eddie Kingston. Now, Eddie Kingston, for those of you who do not remember, Eddie Kingston actually led the Lucha Brothers during the pandemic, and they had an unnamed faction. They were almost pretty much a heel group, and they never got a name for them. And I was like, okay, Eddie Kingston, okay, but I don't know. But anyway, I don't know what's going on with Pac and Eddie Kingston. I bet they're going to have a match, and Pac is going to probably beat the fucking piss out of Eddie Kingston. I don't blame him. Oh, and by the way, next week on AEW Dynamite, Jon Moxley versus Penta El Zero Miedo for the AEW World Championship. Tony Khan. I'm going to stop the show right now. Tony Khan. You have got to be the most ridiculous goddamn booker I've ever seen in my life. First of all, Penta El Zero Miedo. Look, I understand Pentagon Jr. I refuse to call him Penta El Zero Miedo. Pentagon Jr. I understand he's a great talent. I understand he's a great wrestler. I understand. I get it. But Penta El Zero Miedo, or Pentagon Jr., this man has done absolutely not a single fucking goddamn thing to earn an AEW World Title shot. I don't know. Look, he is popular. I get it, but come on. This is Pentagon Jr. we're talking here. Pentagon Jr. deserves to be built up towards the World Title. I understand he's 1/3 of the Trios champions. I get it. But still, why is Jon Moxley versus Penta El Zero Miedo happening next week on Dynamite? Why? And yes, I will review that show for next week as well. Why is that a match? Pentagon Jr. is not even in the rankings. I believe they suspended the AEW rankings. He wasn't even in the rankings. Anyway, all you need to know, Pac hit the Brainbuster on Orange Cassidy at one point. Penta goes for the Destroyer, but he reverses, and Taylor plants him, only for their pinfall attempt to be broken up. Phoenix then hit a double cutter to both Taylor and Trent Beretta, and Death Triangle won. This was actually a good match. I'm not really going to go over this entire match because this match was good, but again, this was pretty much a rematch from 3 weeks ago, right? 3 weeks or last month when CM Punk got stripped of the belt. It's pretty much a rematch from last month. I'm not for rematches all too much, but it is what it is. All you need to know, Rey Fenix got the win on Trent Beretta, and Death Triangle won. This match, I believe, went about 14, 15 minutes. This was a good match. I'll give this an 8. This was actually the best match on this entire show, as far as I'm concerned. In my honest opinion, I feel like it can work. I ain't gonna lie. That main event soured a lot of people. we're going to get to the main event. But besides the main event, this is the best match of the entire show. By far. I'll give Rasslin an 8, and I'll give Logic a 4. Because, first of all, Pac using the hammer thing, but Phoenix stops him. So Pac is slowly turning heel. And I'm all for it. I feel like Death Triangle benefits better as a heel trio tag team. I feel like they benefit better. I'm tired of... I like Rey Fenix. Look, I like Rey Fenix. I like Pentagon. But when they are fucking evil, they are the best thing on any show. They're the best thing on any show. First of all, these guys can wrestle. 2, these guys are entertaining. 3, they can actually do high-flying moves. You know, the Destroyer thing, they kind of have cut down on the Mexican Destroyer shit and stuff. Good. Please do. But if the Death Triangle do not turn heel, I will be pissed off. They need to be heel by next year. That's all I'm going to say. Death Triangle won. This was a good match. As I said, Wrestling 8, Logic a 4, because Pac is slowly turning heel. Plus, there should be no reason why the best friends really should ever get a title shot. Now, I understand why this happened, but can we please end this feud? Thank you. Tony Schiavone backstage with Britt Baker. Britt Baker, get off my TV. And Jamie Hayter, please get on TV. Jamie Hayter needs to win matches. Please put her on TV. What the fuck are you guys doing with Jamie Hayter in AEW? I want to know. Seriously. I don't get it. They're not happy about tonight's title match between Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida. Yes, I don't know why the fuck Hikaru Shida is fighting for the interim AEW Women's World Championship. Can somebody please tell me why? What the fuck is the logic in this? There is none. Ridiculous. Britt Baker promises by the end of the year, one of them, either Britt Baker or Jamie Hayter, will hold the gold. What gold are you referring to? It's definitely not the interim AEW Women's World Championship, which is still being fucking held hostage by Thunder Rosa, who shitted on the entire AEW locker room. Fucking ridiculous. Get the belt off Thunder Rosa and put it on Toni Storm, please, and have her turn heel. Do a double turn. Please do a double turn. Look, Thunder Rosa is gonna come in as a heel. Hikaru Shida can come in as a babyface. Toni Storm can win the match, but then she attacks Thunder Rosa, gets her off TV, and have her turn heel. That's a double turn. Please double turn Toni Storm. Her character right now, I'm not going to disrespect Toni Storm. She's a cool chick. She wrestles for a living. I really can't complain. You know, I'm not necessarily a wrestler per se, but still, the whole point is Toni Storm needs a heel turn ASAP, expeditiously, right now. And I mean this in the most serious way possible. Turn this chick heel. Please and thank you. Toni Storm versus Hikaru Shida for the interim AEW Women's World Championship match. This was actually a solid match. This actually went about 8 or 9 minutes, which is considering very short for a title match. All right, so all you need to know is that both women were very physical, and there was a lot of good stuff in this match. This was a fine match. I believe this was actually Toni Storm's best match. Really? Tonight? Really? Yeah, I believe this was Toni Storm's best match, in AEW. Not including the Fatal 4-Way garbage, not including her match with Serena Deeb. This is the best match she's ever had in AEW, by far. So Storm comes back with a forearm. Both women hitting forearms. Storm hits with a headbutt. Shida with an enziguri. Both women are down. The ladies head to the top turnbuckle, but several headbutts by Shida sends Toni Storm down. She falls with a Meteora, but a near fall. Storm then avoids the next move and hits a German suplex and the hip attack. Yes, the hip attack. The Usos do it too. The hip attack. I'm not referring it to anything else. Whatever Storm was going for, Shida blocks it. Shida with I believe she hit a big time kick or something like that, but she gets a near fall. Both women go back and forth with roll-ups, but neither gets to win. Storm hits another German into a bridge. Shida kicks out. Storm hits a huge forearm strike, like a big-time forearm, like a discus forearm strike, and then the Storm Zero pile driver for the win. This went 8 or 9 minutes. This match was actually a lot better than I thought. I'm all for Toni Storm, but she needs to turn heel. Hikaru Shida, I have nothing negative to say about Hikaru Shida at all, but I feel like Hikaru Shida needs a new direction, like ASAP. What is her character supposed to be? Like, she's this Japanese warrior, right? And she's supposed to be this badass chick. I'm like, but there's one problem. She has not had any kind of emotional progression, no kind of emotional investment from the fans. Like, people like Hikaru Shida, don't get me wrong, but there's no, like, emotional investment. Like, Toni Storm, like, people invest in her. You know, people actually give her a speck of their time. People actually give her attention, which I'm all for, but still. Anyway, Rasslin, I'll give this a 6.5, and Logic, I'll give this a 6. I'll be generous for this match. So, Rasslin for this match, 6.5, and Logic 6. Jamie Haber and Rebel attack Toni Storm. Saraya comes out. She takes out Baker. They two of them brawling at ringside. By the way, Britt Baker came out in a Najee Harris jersey from the Pittsburgh Steelers. She got her ass whooped, and she got fucking destroyed by Saraya tonight. Riho comes back. Yes, Riho came out in a pink short crop top, pink shorts, and pink boots. Riho's back, everybody. Now, I don't know what everyone else thinks about Riho. Riho is cool. She alright. But we're going to need her to progress as like a more of a serious character instead of like this happy-go-lucky kind of character. She needs to be serious from here on out. I know she's facing Jamie Hayter next week, which I will review that show. So Riho versus Jamie Hayter for the 26th of Dynamite. There you go. A video package shown. Wardlow and Samoa Joe talk about the Kingdom. The Kingdom is consisting of Matt Taven, Micah Bennett, and Maria Kanellis. I don't know why the fuck are they on AEW TV. I don't know why Wardlow and Samoa Joe are talking about the fucking Kingdom. I don't know why they're a tag team. I don't know why the Kingdom is still on TV. I don't know why I'm talking about the Kingdom right now. No one cared about this segment. No. Renee Paquette backstage. FTR. They want the AEW World Tag Team titles. Swerve and Our Glory interrupts. Keith Lee calms his partner down. And FTR versus Swerve and Our Glory next week. On Dynamite, the winner is number one contender for the AEW World Tag Team titles held by The Acclaimed. That's all you need to know. First of all, I got to talk about this next segment. Jay Lethal backstage. Oh, fuck. Why was this goddamn segment? Jay Lethal requested a rematch from Darby Allin. Darby Allin agrees and says he will beat him again. Sanjay Dutt then says they know Allin's weaknesses, and then they attack this man. Darby Allin is being held against his will by a fucking garage. No, I'm not kidding. A garage door was on this man's ribs. Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt beat this man down. And then Lethal applies a figure four on the other side, and Darby Allin could not get up. First of all, may I please ask, what the living fuck was this segment? Why did a garage door need to be in this segment? I'm not mad about this rematch. I am mad that this was set up by a fucking garage door being enclosed upon Darby Allin's ribs. Darby Allin's ribs are not his weakness. If you think his ribs is a weakness, no, it is not. Absolutely not. No, it is not. Sanjay Dutt, I don't know what you smoking backstage, but you gotta go, bro. I cannot stand you and Satnam Singh. Get off TV. This is the final time I'm gonna say it, and this is gonna be the first time of one of probably 7 or 8 times I say, get off my TV. Ridiculous. But first of all, this next segment was fucking fantastic. William Regal came out. Tony Schiavone in the ring. William Regal gets interrupted by MJF, as usual. MJF says he's not here to fight, so he tells Regal to put the brass knuckles away, and he's here to tell a story. MJF talks about being told he had WWE extra work when he was 19, and he packed his gear and went to the Barclays Center. The extra were put together and was spoken to by William Regal. He told them they'd be having tryout matches, and MJF recalled some of the people who were watching. He was shaking, and he was fighting for his life because wrestling is his life. First of all, this was actually one of the better MJF promos I've heard in a long time. Never mind the pipe bomb promo after Double or Nothing. This was one of those good promos that you must watch. Not only was this personal, this was deep, and it was relatable, and it was true. Because he was in WWE as a security guard. If you see a GIF flying around of MJF and Samoa Joe pushing him out the way, now you know. He was in WWE, and William Regal was talking about tryout matches. So Regal told MJF to go into a room and told him to sell himself. That's what he did. And Regal's jaw was on the ground, and he said, "Kid, I'm going to get you a job here today." Regal knew MJF's potential, but Regal said he was much too young. Regal gave him hope and said he doesn't always put his name on people, but when they do, they get jobs. And he agreed with it, personally put his name on that. Regal wanted a match and a promo every month from MJF, but after month 3, he sent him another. Regal told him he was a busy man, and the game has changed. MJF was listening to Regal. He said, "The game has changed as WWE hired the best talent, and when MJF wanted him, he should send himself to him." MJF tells Regal to go on his dream. So William Regal never signed Maxwell Jacob Freeman into WWE. Can you imagine if MJF wasn't WWE under Vince McMahon? First of all, MJF would have been buried within 3 months. This man would have been irrelevant after legit 3 or 4 months. Thank God he didn't go to WWE. Because then he would be fucking buried alive. Man would be 6 feet deep. Ridiculous. MJF tells Regal squander his dream, and he said that then he read that email from William Regal saying he got released. He wanted to quit wrestling, and it made him so upset that he wanted to kill himself. MJF says Regal is now a sad old man who got fired and has snuck into his company by leaning on talent who were better than he ever was, which is absolutely, first of all, not true. Willie Udo is not better than William Regal. Bryan Danielson is not better than William Regal. John Moxley is not better than William Regal. Claudio is not better than William Regal. In his prime, William Regal in his prime. MJF literally said that legit 4 other men are better than William Regal in their prime. Absolutely not. Did you see this man in WCW? Did you see this man as fucking world television champion? I did. William Regal dominated that fucking title. He made that title more important than anything in the world. What the fuck is MJF talking about? Hell no. They're not better. All 4 of these men are not better than William Regal in his prime? No. Hell no. MJF says he's a generational talent. And Regal has become nothing more than a joke, and MJF is going to be AEW World Champion. Regal then gets on the microphone, gets booed for some reason. First of all, MJF, why is William Regal getting booed? William Regal's a legend. Regal talks about being 16, having to fight men to get in this industry. He said he saw somebody who was going to be a big star in MJF, and he wanted to light a fire under him. If an email is what it took to get him to his plate, then he's had it easy. He's mastered something, which Regal told him to practice, and you could see his talent on the microphone back then. Regal says anyone who steps in between his ropes is fair game, but you don't put your hands on somebody like Tony Schiavone. The problem is that MJF has let him down by taking shortcuts. Making money doesn't prove anything to him. He tells him to become the devil. He has to beat people. And he says if he wants to do it, you can show the world right now. William Regal does the 1997 Sting WCW thing. Turns his back. Arms out. Everything. MJF does not hit William Regal. And Regal tells him he still has a lot to go. Still has a lot to prove, and he has a long way to go. First of all, this was the best segment on this entire show. This was the best segment. Actually, this was one of the top 5 best segments all year. I don't know how this was absolutely done the way it was. This is a top 5 segment of the entire year. MJF William Regal, MJF Pipe Bomb promo, CM Punk's promo, I believe, with Hangman Adam Page, John Moxley's promo with Hangman Adam Page as well, and most likely, pretty much Cody Rhodes before he got released. I believe Cody Rhodes had Had a very interesting segment. He had one with Cody and Arn Anderson at one point. The one where Arn Anderson had the gun thing. It was fucking hilarious. Plus, Cody Rhodes was facing Lance Archer for the TNT title. So that was actually, I found that to be a very good segment. That was the pandemic AEW era. So yeah, there you go. But ladies and gentlemen, MJF William Regal deserves not only a round of applause, but a goddamn thank you. Fantastic segment. Best segment on this entire show. Probably the second best thing on this entire show. Chris Jericho versus Dalton Castle for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Why is Ring of Honor being mentioned or even being thought about on this show? I don't know. Renee Paquette backstage with the Acclaimed. Friday, it will be titles versus trademarks. Yes, I will get to Rampage. It will be the Acclaimed defending the World Tag Team titles against these two fucking goons. We will talk about it on Rampage. Bryan Danielson explains to Paquette that losing to Chris Jericho wasn't ideal. He had high hopes for Daniel Garcia, and he believes he could surpass what he could do from a technical standpoint. Eula, fucking Tony needs the fuck out of my fucking company. Wheeler Yuta doesn't appreciate here. He asked Danielson how he wasn't surprised by what happened last week. He said when he bled for the Blackpool Combat Club, Wheeler Yuta, he thought it meant something, but clearly it does not to Bryan Danielson. So apparently, Wheeler Yuta and Bryan Danielson have a little bit of a disagreement over Daniel Garcia being in the Blackpool Combat Club. Why? Okay, I understand Bryan Danielson picked Daniel Garcia, but he wanted Wheeler Yuta as well. So, I don't know. Jericho versus Dalton Castle. All you need to know, Dalton Castle came out with his boys, Dalton Castle, the always flamboyant peacock, the always extravagant, over the top, kind of guy. All right, so he throws Jericho around the ring 3 times in a row. I'm not making this up. Dalton Castle overthrew Chris Jericho and tossed him around for like 2 minutes. Castle then decides to neutralize Jake Hager by launching the boys into him repeatedly, as Castle then shows his amateur background with mat-based wrestling. Dalton Castle can actually fucking wrestle. But Jericho mocks him with a pinfall attempt after a suplex and a rake to the eye. Jericho says Castle on the top turnbuckle. Chops, drop kick in midair by Jericho. The challenger, Dalton Castle, tries to charge against Jericho, but he misses and falls to the floor. Only to respond by sending Jericho over the top rope as he drop kicks him off. Inside the ring, the two men hit a double cross body, take each other out. Hager begins taking out all the boys after they take his hat. I'm not making this up. These niggas took his hat, and Jake Hager attacked every single one of them. Dalton Castle locked in a submission whilst Jericho countered. It gets countered into the walls of Jericho, He and Aubrey Edwards argues. He pushes her, and she responds by pushing him back. Two men with forearms. Jericho comes out on top. Jericho looks for the lion salt. Castle grabs him on the second rope, hits him with a German. Jericho with a codebreaker, counter into the banger ring, but it was a close near fall. It was like 2 9/10 of a second. I was like, what the hell? No one kicks out of the fucking banger ring from Dalton Castle. No one kicks out of that move. Cut it out. And then Castle fires in. Jericho hits the Judas effect for the win. So you're telling me after these men hit forearms with each other, these men literally hit forearm strikes, Jericho hits the Judas effect. You mean to tell me one Judas effect can take out, one elbow can take out Dalton Castle? And just for that alone, Logic 2. First of all, Chris Jericho should not be on this show defending the Ring of Honor World Championship. That's number 1. I like what he's doing, but he should not be on the show. Number 2, Dalton Castle should not have one elbow eliminate him from winning the Ring of Honor World Championship. Dalton Castle was put out there to look like a fucking goon. Why, and fucking why? I don't get it. Why? Chris Jericho won. After the win, he tells everyone to honor him. He's taking out champions, ring announcers, commentators, JAS grabbed Ian Riccaboni and they look to hit him with the title until Jerry Lynn makes a save, but he gets hit with a low blow, and Jericho power drives Jerry Lynn onto the title. So Chris Jericho versus Jerry Lynn down the line. First of all, Jerry Lynn never wrestled. He did wrestle in Ring of Honor, but he was not world champion. He was never Ring of Honor world champion, unless he was. I will have to look this up. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to look this up before we go to our main event. Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. The big match, the big money match. But before we go to that, I need to look up Jerry Lynn, ROH World Championship. If he ever had the Ring of Honor World Championship. I'm going to look this up right now. Jerry Lynn is a one-time Ring of Honor World Champion. He beat Nigel McGuinness for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. I wish he won the Pure Championship. Nigel McGuinness versus Jerry Lynn, and Jerry Lynn won the Ring of Honor World Championship. So you mean to tell me that Jerry Lynn is going to come back and fight in the ring against 53-year-old Chris Jericho? Oh my God. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enough about Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn's a great wrestler, but enough about him. Hangman Adam Page, Jon Moxley for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Moxley charges through the ropes with a tope suicida. He sends a challenger into the barricade. He chops the fucking shit out of Hangman Adam Page. Moxley launched into the steel steps. Back into the ring. The two men throw chops. Moxley then add in forearms, only for Page to charge him into the turnbuckles. Champion responds with a lariat in the corner, then some right hands, and a bite to the head before hitting a superplex. And Page kicks out. Moxley then grabs his arm and starts stomping on the challenger. The two then end up on the apron. Page hits Deadeye. Page then locks in a single leg crab, but the champ rolls out, and then applies a step over bulldog choke, but he gets to the bottom rope. Hangman Adam Page does. The two men head to the top rope. Page with a moonsault fall-away slam, but it brings a near fall. Moxley then looks for a German suplex, but Page lands on his feet, hits a lariat, but Page has no time to relax, and then he's dropped with the King Kong lariat, which turns his challenger inside out. And ladies and gentlemen, at this exact moment, Hangman Adam Page is actually hurt. He got a concussion off that King Kong lariat. He tried to sell the move doing the flip, and he actually landed on the top of his fucking head. And I was like, what the fuck? Oh, by the way, Chris Jericho versus Dalton Castle. Wrestling for that match, I'll give it a 6 and Logic a 2. There you go. All right. As I said, for the main event, so Hangman Adam Page landed on, I believe, on a part of his neck and then his head. I was like, oh shit. I did not actually see this match. I only saw the finish of this match, and that looked gnarly. That looked terrible. Fortunately, Hangman Adam Page is all right. He had a concussion, and hopefully he gets better. But Jon Moxley wins the match by pretty much technical or pretty much referee stoppage, and Jon Moxley retains the AEW World Championship. Moxley says he hopes and prays that Page recovers 100% and performs for the fans again. He says this is a dangerous game and you have to have guts to play it, and you need to put everything on the line. The usual badass champ stuff. MJF charges down to the ring with a chip in his hand, but he then pushes it into the hand of William Regal, and then he gets on the microphone. He doesn't want Moxley at 50% at Full Gear. He wants to beat him at Full Gear, so he will cash it in at Full Gear. MJF tells Regal that for the first time in his miserable life, he's going to earn it. Moxley then responds, and he says MJF will earn the heel of his boot of his mouth. He will shit out his teeth, and most importantly, he has earned a date with Destiny. He will show the world that getting into the ring with him is dangerous as all hell, and finally, that you don't mess with Jon Moxley, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. That's pretty much what he said. Ladies and gentlemen, that was AEW Dynamite, Tuesday night edition of AEW Dynamite. Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley. This was turning out to be a solid match, except the finish and the referee stoppage and everything. Other than that, I thought this match actually was decent. This was actually not worse than the Jon Moxley CM Punk squash match from, I believe, 2 months ago. Yes, 2 months ago. So, yeah, I thought this was fine. I'll give Rasslin a 5, and Logic, I'll give it a 5. These guys actually were on their way to a good match, and then Hangman Adam Page got a concussion, and the referee stopped it. Other than that, this was a solid episode of AEW Dynamite. There was a lot of good stuff on this show, except for the Darby Allin and Jay Lethal segment, which, once again, I do not understand why Sanjay Dutt believes that Darby Allin's ribs is a part of his fucking weakness. I don't get it. It's ridiculous. Best match on the show, the first match on the show. Death Triangle versus Best Friends. As I said, Rasslin for that match. I gave it an 8, and Logic, I gave it a 4. We're going to recap the Rasslin and Logic scores. Death Triangle versus Best Friends. Rasslin 8, Logic 4. Tony Storm, Hikaru Shida, I gave that a 6.5, and Logic a 6. All right. Chris Jericho, Dalton Castle, I gave that a... Did I give that a 6? I gave it a 6. I gave it a 6, and Logic, I gave it a 2, because Ring of Honor does not deserve to be on AEW TV. Please stop with this. And Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley, I gave it I believe I gave it a 5. Yeah, I gave it a 5, 5.5. No, I'll give it a 5.5. I'm changing my rating right now. Jon Moxley, Hangman Adam Page, 5.5, and Logic 5. There you go. All right, everybody, that's AEW Dynamite. Unfortunately, I do got to talk about Rampage. This actually pretty decent Rampage for a change, because I actually had to watch this show. But right now, we're going to talk about AEW Rampage, and we'll do all that right after this, when we come back. All right, everybody, we're going to review AEW Rampage from October 21st, 2022, from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. This was actually a decent Rampage for a change. First of all, I got to say something real fast. We have a World Tag Team title defense from The Acclaimed. Okay, but we're going to... this is going to be probably a lot of get off my TV stuff, especially on this show. We'll get to it. Orange Cassidy defends the All-Atlantic Championship against 2 other men who does not deserve a title shot. Hook defends the FTW Championship against Ariara Daivari. We'll get to that match. And we have a lot more matches. We got reactions, a recap from AEW Dynamite, and reactions from everyone. Excalibur, Jim Ross, and Tony Schiavone on commentary. Dasha Gonzalez was the ring announcer for this show. And ladies and gentlemen, The Acclaimed versus Tony Nese and Josh Woods, the Varsity Athletes. Yes, the Varsity Athletes. Tony Nese, get the fuck off my TV. You fucking suck. Fuck you. Tony Nese and Josh Woods are called the Varsity Athletes. The most generic goddamn name for a tag team I've ever heard. And probably the most least threatening tag team of all time. Who in the living fuck thought The Acclaimed was going to lose to fucking Tony Nese and Josh Woods? Who? I want to know. I sincerely want to know who thought that Tony Nese, this fucking goon, get off my television, and Josh Woods was going to beat The Acclaimed tonight. I want to know. Whoever thought this way, you're a damn idiot. Ridiculous. The stipulation was the tag team title versus the scissoring trademark. First of all, I got to point out that I'm going to go on a rant here. You mean to tell me that these 2 motherfuckers are fighting over 2 words? Scissor me. We're saying this on live national television. On TNT. We're saying this word. And you mean to tell me The Acclaimed are fighting over 2 goddamn words? What's next? They're gonna fight over scissor? Give me a break. Scissor. Scissor me. We're saying this on live national TV. Get Tony Nese and Josh Woods off fucking television. And get Josh Woods away from Tony Nese ASAP. Expeditiously, immediately. Just get him out. Alright. That was my little mini rant. Max Caster had a rap. They beat NXT in the ratings on Tuesday. Great. They stomped out Mark Sterling's nuts on Dynamite. Do we care? No. Kanye West was randomly being mentioned. Anti-Semitic comments by Kanye West. Or Kanye West about to buy some random-ass fucking company that no one necessarily cares about. Mark Sterling responded by giving the people what they want. Sterling tried to scissor... I can't even say the goddamn word. Mark Sterling, get off my television. Get off TV. If I see Mark Sterling and Tony Nese in the street somewhere, I don't know what I'm going to do. Get these men off TV. I hate these men. Get them out of here. And why was this a tag team title match? Give me a break. The Acclaimed won. The match went 6 minutes. And the Acclaimed won with a mic drop on Tony Nese. Tony Nese lost. Yes, Tony Nese. You need to be unemployed by next year. If you're not unemployed by next year, I don't know what I'm going to do. Get off fucking TV. I swear to God, you is the most useless, worthless, talentless fucking sack of shit I have ever seen in my entire life. Get off TV and stay away from AEW. Get them out. You fucking kidding me? Tony Nese got a fucking title shot before FTR, Swerve in Our Glory, the Gun Club, and fucking Death Triangle. Pardon me. Yes, but before the fucking Death Triangle. Tony Khan, you got some serious fucking explaining to do, bro. I don't know what you smoking. I need to know what you smoking, bro. I don't know if you're smoking meth. I don't know if you're smoking heroin. I don't know if you're smoking crack. If you think that the varsity athletes deserved a title shot before FTR, Swerve in Our Glory, the Gun Club, the Lucha Bros, and the fucking Young Bucks, these two goons got a title shot before them. I'm done. Moving on. Jade Cargill struck a deal with AEW. Since Penelope Ford was injured, Cargill allowed Leela Gray as a replacement for the show to go on. So Penelope Ford was out, and Leela Gray joined in for apparently some kind of match, I believe. I don't know. And well, apparently they were going. Jade Cargill was going to hijack Rampage for her TBS championship. Do anybody fucking cared about this segment? No. Oh, by the way, the Acclaimed and the Varsity Athletes. Rasslin, I'll give it a 5. And Logic 0, because the Varsity Athletes does not deserve a fucking title shot. Under no shape or any form at all. Ortiz called in the Lucha Brothers for an intervention to Eddie Kingston. He's been out of control. Eddie Kingston's been fucking gone AWOL. They don't want Eddie's temper to cost him his job. It cost him his job in Impact, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Pac spoke up about Kingston's lack of composure, losing his match at Grand Slam in his home turf against fucking Sammy Guevara. First of all, Pac, let me remind you of something. No. I gotta talk about this. Pac and Eddie Kingston. I understand y'all got beef because Eddie Kingston took care of the Lucha Brothers while Pac was literally having trouble with his fucking visa during the pandemic. I get it. That's a reasonable explanation for a few. But ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Kingston versus Sammy Guevara. Eddie Kingston won that match. And then the referee, this fucking goon referee, I don't know who it was. Was it Paul Turner or Bryce Rensburg? It was one of you two motherfuckers. They reversed the goddamn decision of Sammy Guevara to win that match. I'm not making this up. Eddie Kingston got screwed by a fucking referee in order for Sammy fucking Guevara to win a match. Whoever those two fucking referees was, they got to get the fuck out of AEW. Get them out. ASAP. Expeditiously. Get them out. Eddie Kingston was annoyed at Pac's presence, but he didn't blow his lid. Death Triangle and Kingston exited in separate directions. Next match. Hook versus Ariya Daivari. This match went 3 minutes. Hook choked out VSK. By the way, VSK is Daivari's butler now. Are you serious? VSK is Ariya Daivari's butler. Do anyone fucking care? No. Daivari, by the way, offered Hook $50,000 in cash. This man offered $50,000 to Hook to buy the FTW championship. Yes, we got a rip-off $1 million man, Ted DiBiase, on AEW Rampage, buying fucking titles all of a sudden. Ariar Daivari, get the fuck off TV. You lost in under 3 minutes tonight. Go away. Go away. Hook choked out VSK. Daivari tapped out in under 3 minutes. Hook choked him unconscious. Hook versus Ariar Daivari. This match went, as I said, under 3 minutes, and Hook choked him out. All you need to know. This match is getting 0 rating. No rating at all. 0 and 0. The firm sent Private Party to Wrestling Academy to work on fundamentals. Great. Good, but one problem. Private Party... Hold on. Private Party does not need work on fundamentals. They're a good tag team in the ring. They need to get the fuck out of this fucking piece of shit faction known as the Firm. If not the Firm, it's going to be Matt Hardy. If it's not going to be Matt Hardy, it's going to be them by themselves. The Private Party tag team, they are made men. Get them away from this fucking group. ASAP. Stokely Hathaway assigned Matt Hardy to wrestle on Dark Elevation. Who the fuck is watching Matt Hardy on Dark Elevation? I want to know. I don't know. Hardy spits some rap lines. Yes, Matt Hardy was legit rapping on AEW Rampage. It was fucking awful. Thumbs down segment. Probably the worst segment on this entire show. Horrendous. Leela Gray versus Willow Nightingale. This match went 3 minutes. Willow Nightingale won with the Dr. Bomb. The Gut Rush Power Bomb for the win. Willow Nightingale is officially all elite, by the way. Leela Gray fucking lost. This chick was supposed to not be on the show. She was caught up last minute because Penelope Ford was hurt. And Penelope Ford was going to get squashed any fucking way. Kiera Hogan was on TV for a change. Why wasn't this match versus Kiera Hogan? You can do Willow Nightingale versus Kiera Hogan. Give them 5-6 minutes. And then Willow Nightingale got the win that way. Why was Kiera Hogan not Why is Kiera Hogan not on TV? Why is she... Okay, hold on. Let me rephrase that. Why is she not wrestling on TV? Is she hurt? Is she injured? I have never heard of any reports of Kiera Hogan being fucking injured. She's an active member of the AEW Women's Locker Room. Get this chick in matches. And not on Dark Elevation. I'm talking on Rampage. Because what are y'all doing with Kiera Hogan? Kiera Hogan has gotten skinnier ever since she's been on AEW. Skinnier. I'm not making this up. Skinnier. And this is not an insult. Kiera Hogan needs to be on TV. Wrestling. That's all I'm going to say. Willow Nightingale won in 3 minutes. Willow Nightingale is all elite. As a surprise. Great. Jay Cargo came out. Willow gave the champ her space. Jay took a seat and remanded the return of the TBS Championship. Nyla Rose popped on the big screen. She stole Jay Cargo's car and drove away with the belt. Jade was furious and threatened to stay in the ring to ruin Rampage. When security came out, Jade kicked their ass, and Jade left in a hush. She left in a hush silence because no one fucking cared about the segment. Jay Cargo fought security. Jay Cargo, you're going to get fined for that, honey. Rampage. Right now, this first 30 minutes, I got to say, pretty much the rest of this show was like skippable, but like this felt like a dark show rather than like a like this felt like a Dark Elevation show than a Rampage show. I don't know. All you need to know, the main event was actually the best thing on the show. By the way, Leela Gray versus Will Nightingale. Rasslin, I'll give it a 4, and Logic, I'll give it probably I'll give it a 3. Because the Willow Nightingale needs to win. That's 1. She got the pin. That's 2. And Leela Gray, once again, lost. That's 3. So that's 3 points right there for Logic. There you go. Main event. Orange Cassidy versus Roosh versus Preston Vance, a.k.a. 10. Footage aired of how the All Atlantic Championship main event was booked. Cassidy popped in on 10 and Roosh to propose a triple threat match. Production actually cut out the comical part with Tony Khan making the match official. It's official. Orange Cassidy versus Roosh versus 10 in a triple threat match at Rampage. Fuck you. Fuck you. Mark Henry interviews. Orange Cassidy joined Henry to mimic his lines. Orange Cassidy didn't know why he got mixed up in the business with 10 and Roosh. He felt like it. What? 10 was joined by -1. The Max Man was ready to beat Roosh's ass and walk out with the title. Roosh had Jose C. assistant by his side. El Toro Blanco wanted to break their faces. Cassidy started to wrap up with Henry finished the line. Henry said, "No, whoa. No. You're not," I'm like, he was like, "Orange Cassidy, you're not finna steal my line. No way. Not on this damn piece of shit show. Hell no." It's time for the main event, Mark Henry says. Orange Cassidy versus Roosh versus 10. This was the best match on the show, by far. This was great. Roosh and 10 threw blows at each other. Cassidy just stood there watching. Hands in the pockets for the shin kick routine. Rush then sucker punched 10 in the face. Action built outside. Roosh uglied up the contest with ankle noblesse tactics to rip and choke 10 and Cassidy with the camera cables. The match progressed. Cassidy went for a tope suicida. Roosh and 10 caught Orange Cassidy for a double choke slam on the table. Cassidy rallied for a stunner on 10 and tornado DD to the Roosh. Orange Cassidy ducked a discus clothesline from 10 to counter for a beach break, which was cool. 1-2, Jose pulled Orange Cassidy away. Danhausen entered for a low blow curse. Yes, Danhausen appeared from under the ring. Low blow the fucking shit out of Jose, the assistant. Great. Roosh shoved Danhausen into Cassidy. El Toro Blanco followed with a belly-to-belly suplex on Orange Cassidy. 10 came alive for a spine buster. A wheelbarrow German suplex to Orange Cassidy. Discus lariat to Orange Cassidy. 1-2, and Roosh broke it up. Roosh loosened 10's mask to turn sideways and obscure his vision. Roosh turned around into a orange punch from Cassidy. Roosh tumbled out the ring. 10 went for a discus lariat, and Cassidy countered with the beach break. 10 actually blocked the move, but Cassidy scored a roll-up. Orsi put his hands in his pockets, which was fucking ridiculous, and he won. Well, Orange Cassidy, Roosh, and 10 had a good match. I can't complain. This match, I'll give Rasslin 6.5, and Logic, I'll give it a 5. Orange Cassidy was taken a lot more serious while keeping the more comedic stuff. Other than that, yeah, this was fine. Rampage was actually a solid show. No disrespect towards anybody. We're just joking around. But I am not joking around when I say Tony Nese and Mark Sterling and Josh Woods, get the fuck off my fucking television. This was fine. A fine Rampage. I'll give the ratings once again for Rampage. All right, so the Acclaimed versus Tony Nese and Josh Woods to open the show. Match, I gave it a 5, and I gave Rasslin a 5 and Logic a 2 for that match. The match was fine though. I had no problem with the match though. Just the fact that Tony Nese got a fucking title shot before fucking FTR. Hook versus Ariya Daivari, no rating at all, 0-0. Leela Gray versus Willow Nightingale. I gave Rasslin for that match a 4, and I gave. You know what? I'm gonna change my rating. I'll give this match a 5. These women actually tried. All right, Leela Gray and Willow Nightingale. I'll give Rasslin a 5 for this match, and I gave Logic a 4. So there you go. Every other segment on this show was almost a thumbs down. Just hit or miss. Except the Eddie Kingston segment. Everything else was hit or miss. Oh, and Matt Hardy, by the way. Don't ever rap on Rampage ever again. Please no. Please no. Please stop. Just stop. Oh, by the way, main event, Orange Cassidy versus Roosh versus 10. I'll give Rasslin 6.5, and I'll give Logic for this match a 4. So, yeah. All right, everybody, that was Rampage. And that was AEW Rampage. And also, I reviewed AEW Dynamite from last week. Next week, we will review AEW Dynamite for October the 26th, 2022, and AEW Rampage. So another doubleheader with AEW. We'll find out what's going on with AEW And also, Crown Jewel is coming up next Saturday, so look out for that review for Crown Jewel. But until then, I'm Ben Charles once again. See you all next time and next week for AEW Dynamite and Rampage doubleheader. And see you all next Friday, actually the Friday after next, for Crown Jewel. Until then, I'm Ben Charles. So long, everybody. And welcome, everyone, to another Rasslin and Logic Extra. This is another AEW Dynamite review. This is from October the 26th, 2022. We were live from the Chartway Center in Norfolk, Virginia. Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, and Taz were on commentary for this entire show. Excuse me while I adjust my earbuds for a second. But ladies and gentlemen, we had a big-time show here tonight, here on this edition of AEW Dynamite. First match was Chris Jericho and the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, Darren Garcia. So, pretty much the Ring of Honor World Champion, Jericho, and the Pure Champion, Darren Garcia versus Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, with William Regal at ringside. William Regal was on commentary. JAS came out. Matt Menard, who, by the way, Matt Menard is getting a AEW World Title Eliminator match on Rampage, which I will not review Rampage. What the fuck did Matt Menard do to get a fucking Eliminator title shot? Nothing. Not a damn thing he's done tonight. Nothing. Jake Hager and Angelo Parker comes down to the ring with Jericho and Garcia. Jericho flipped off Claudio. Claudio with uppercuts. Garcia ran in and Claudio stopped him with a backbreaker. Yuta tagged in and he and Claudio clocked Garcia with a double boot to the face. Garcia headbutted Yuta. Hager and Menard pulled Jericho and Garcia out the ring. Claudio and Yuta wasted no time. They went outside the ring and they fought Jericho and Garcia. Hager distracted Claudio, which allowed enough time for Jericho to sneak up with a dropkick. Yuta tagged, hoisted up Jericho, and planted him down with a suplex for a near fall. Jericho got spiked after Claudio helped Yuta complete a DDT. Jericho countered Claudio with a code breaker for a near fall. Yuta broke out the pin. Jericho grabbed his bat. Claudio powerbombed him, which caused Jericho to drop the bat. Claudio used his big swing on Jericho while also putting Darren Garcia in an airplane spin. Claudio wiped out Hager with a senton. Claudio drained Jericho with the... This review, they call it the neutralizer. I'm going to call it a front pile driver. A front slam pile driver. Whatever. Renee Paquette was backstage with Bryan Danielson. Oh, by the way. Yeah. Anyway, Claudio beat Chris Jericho and pinned him. Yes. Claudio Castagnoli pinned Chris Jericho clean. Oh my God. I'm tired of world champions losing on Dynamite. It's always happening. Ridiculous. First of all, so does this mean Claudio get a Ring of Honor World title shot? I'm for it. But Claudio should have not lost the belt anyway. I don't know. Alright, wrestling for this match. I'll give it a 7. This was actually a good match. But unfortunately, Jericho lost, so logic for this match is going to be a 3. Because first of all, Chris Jericho should not be losing clean on TV. And Wheeler Yuta was not going to lose either. So this was pretty much a lose-lose situation. And Claudio Castagnoli won. They had to think. Bryan Danielson's backstage. He says he's going to take out his frustration on Sammy Guevara. Wheeler Yuta approached Danielson. Yuta says, I'm not a son. Yuta says, I'm not your son. I'm a grown-ass man. Danielson then slapped Wheeler Yuta across the face. Yes, we're already teasing Wheeler Yuta out of the Blackpool Combat Club. Why? I don't know. Claudio and Regal separated the two of them, and Danielson and Yuta will sit down and talk this out like adults. JAS backstage with Tony Schiavone. Jericho was fired up. By the way, the audio for this segment was fucking atrocious. Chris Jericho was fired up. He blamed Claudio for bringing the bat into the ring. Jericho issued an open challenge next week to any former Ring of Honor World Champion. Now, I can go down the list of recent Ring of Honor World Champions. Cody Rhodes, who was hurt. It's not Kenny Omega. Nigel McGuinness. Jerry Lynn. AJ Styles. Johnny Gresham. It can be a plenty of other people. But we'll get to it next week. AEW World Championship number 1 contender match. FTR versus Swerve in Our Glory. the Gun Club was on TV mocking FTR. First of all, the Gun Club, y'all are in the Tony Nese category of get the fuck off my fucking television. The Acclaim came out, sat on the stage for no reason. Keith Lee wiped out both members. Cash tried to get a tag, but Keith Lee with a let me see. Hold on. Keith shoved him back into his turnbuckles. Swerve tagged in, but Cash was able to reach Dax Harwood for a tag. Dax hit Swerve with some chops. Keith Lee got into a fray. Dax chopped him too. Dax Harwood hit a high German on suplex on Swerve. Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood hit tandem offense on Swerve as Keith Lee was covering outside the ring. Cash caught Swerve underneath chin with an uppercut. Swerve made tag Keith Lee. They double teamed Cash Wheeler with a powerbomb for a near fall. Swerve was looking for the Swerve stomp, but Dax countered with a slingshot powerbomb, which was awesome. Keith Lee pounced Dax and then headbutted Cash Wheeler for a near fall. Cash superplexed Keith Lee and then Dax splashed him off the top ropes for a near fall. FTR smashed Keith Lee with a big rig, but Swerve pulled Dax out of the ring by the feet. Then he hit Dax Harwood with a low blow. The Guns held back Cash while Keith Lee finished off Dax Harwood and pinned Dax Harwood. And Keith Lee won with the Big Bang Catastrophe move. And 1, 2, 3. FTR loses. I'm not mad at FTR losing all of a sudden. I feel like FTR, like, they are doing, they're putting these guys over. Plus, the bigger story is Swerve and Our Glory and the Acclaim. I see why they did this. But this was actually second best match of this entire show. This was the second best match on this entire show. By far. Easily second best match on this show. I'll give Rasslin for this match. I'll give it an 8. Logic, I'll give it a 5. Because, well, actually, you know what? I'll give it a 6. Because Swerve and Our Glory was going to win anyway. It was kind of predictable. Plus, Keith Lee is still not a heel. And Swerve had to cheat to beat FDR. So, yeah. Anyway, Renee Paquette backstage with Saraya. Dr. Britt Baker interrupted until Renee Paquette told both of them to start arguing. Yes, they were arguing like fucking bitches tonight. Renee Paquette then made her way down to the stage. She interviewed MJF. MJF says, the devil has arrived in Virginia. We got any devil worshippers in the house today? First of all, can MJF please stop using the catchphrase, devil worshippers? That's not a good thing to, to say. It's just weird. I don't know why. Anyway, so John Moxley, Renee Paquette says John Moxley is defending the AEW World Title against Penta Azzetto Miedo. And if he retains or not, you'll be facing him at Full Gear. MJF says, Renee, with all due respect, when I think of Jonathan, only one word is coming to mind, mid. Last week when I said I was going to earn it, I meant what I said. I may have gotten carried away when I was going to wrestle the whole thing clean. Come on, I'm still MJF. When Regal said he uses brass knuckles because he wanted to, not because he wanted to, alluding to my Dynamite Diamond ring. So I promise I will not use my ring at Full Gear because I don't need it. I only need a grudge and I'm chock full of them. And come November 19th, I am fighting Riddle, I am fighting Moxley, I am fighting Penta, I am fighting every single scumbag who said I wasn't good enough. And I'm going to take this chip on my shoulder and shove it every down their throats to become AEW World Champion. Stokely Hathaway interrupted MJF. Max, I get it. You want Mox at 100% at Full Gear, and we won't lay a hand on him. MJF hit the microphone on Hathaway's hand. If Moxley gets past Pentagon tonight, I need him at 110% at Full Gear. You don't look at him or touch him or you're fired. Well, MJF is, this is clearly a work. This entire thing is clearly something like almost a work. This is a work, bro. This is a trap. There's no way, I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. All right. First of all, this is the best match on this entire show. This is going to be the best match on this show. I like the main event of this show, but this is the best match on this show. Bryan Danielson versus Sammy Guevara with Ty Mello, who was still employed. Sammy went right after Bryan Danielson. He had a springboard cutter for a near fall. Sammy tried for a drop kick, but Danielson countered and it put Sammy in the Romero special. Danielson drove his knee into Sammy's back. He followed with uppercuts. William Regal was on commentary. He says he's the perfect wrestler. I don't know about perfect wrestler, but I will a lot of people say he's a good wrestler, so I can't really say he's perfect. Danielson blasted Sammy with kicks and then an uppercut. Danielson grounded and pounded Sammy with palm strikes. Sammy rolled to the outside. Danielson jumped off the apron, but Sammy countered with a rising knee. Back in the ring, Sammy walled Bryan with round kicks, but they only pissed off Danielson. He turned Sammy inside out with an elbow. Danielson backdropped Sammy to the outside and then went airborne with a tope suicida. Danielson blasted Sammy with a shotgun drop kick to the barricade. Sammy then came back with a standing Spanish fly back inside the ring. Sammy climbed to the top turnbuckle, but Danielson shoved him. Danielson go for a suplex, but Sammy landed on his feet. Bryan countered a standing moonsault from Sammy with the label lock. Sammy reached the ropes with his feet, rope break. Danielson climbed to the top rope, but Sammy jumped up there and sent Bryan crashing down with the Spanish fly from the top rope. Sammy then bit down on Bryan Danielson's forehead. Sammy Guevara went for the GTH, but Bryan blocked it and countered with a reverse poison rana. Bryan Danielson charged at Sammy with the psycho knee. Then he grabbed Sammy's wrist, stopped the fucking piss out of Sammy Guevara, stopped the shit out of him. Then he hit the triangle, and the referee stopped it. And Bryan Danielson wins. Great. I'll give Rasslin 7.5. And Logic, I'll give it an 8. Because Bryan Danielson needed a win so badly. And there you go. All right. Next segment. Renee Paquette backstage with Rey Fenix and Alex Abrahantes. Rey Fenix says, tonight, my brother will be a double champion. Penta and any member of the Death Triangle could be a double champion tonight. Christian Cage and Luchasaurus interrupted. Cage says Luchasaurus deserved a shot at the All-Atlantic Championship ahead of anyone else. What? I'm sorry, Luchasaurus has not won any legit matches against anyone. So, Orange Cassidy versus Luchasaurus for next week on Dynamite, which we will talk about for next week. All right, Luchasaurus versus Orange Cassidy next week on Dynamite. We will review that match. Riho versus Jamie Hayter with Dr. Britt Baker out on the at ringside. By the way, this was the semi-main event of this show. Tony Khan, please stop doing this. Why is the women in the semi-main event? Stop doing this. Jamie Hayter. Look, I get a lot of people like Jamie Hayter. I get it. But why is she in the semi-main event? No disrespect whatsoever. This could have been before Bryan Danielson and Sammy Guevara. Why was that not semi-main event? Riho is back, as we said as we said back in my last week Dynamite review, Riho came back. So Riho has her match versus Jamie Hayter. Hayter shoulder tackle Riho. Riho bridged up, but Baker grabbed Riho's boot. Yes, Dr. Britt Baker is fucking, yeah. You gotta be kidding me. Like, I cannot stand Britt Baker. She's getting off my TV material. Riho low bridge Jamie with I believe it was, I don't know what it was. Was it a German of some kind? I don't know. Then she jumped off the top turnbuckle, coming out with a crossbody. Back in the ring, Hayter hit a snap suplex. Then she hit her with elbows, but Riho used a Northern Light suplex. Hayter smashed Riho with a brainbuster, near fall. Baker grabbed Riho's boot again as Rebel had the referee's attention. Hayter popped up Riho, but Riho countered with a code red for a 2 count. Hayter cracked Riho with a backbreaker. Then a dragon suplex by Riho for a near fall. Hayter then booted Riho with a big boot and then blasted Riho with the ripcord lariat to pin her. I'll give Rasslin for this match. I'll give it a 6. And Logic, I'll give it a 4 because Jamie Hayter did not need Britt Baker to win her a match. I like Jamie Hayter winning, but she did not need Britt Baker to win her a match. Why the fuck does this shit happen? Ridiculous. Stop this booking. It's awful. Toni Storm came out and she held her belt up high. Next segment, Renee back again. Renee was in approximately 5 segments tonight. 5. I'm not making this up. 5. She interviewed Eddie Kingston. Eddie said all you need to know for this promo was that Eddie said people need to leave him alone because he's fine. Eddie Kingston was smiling. He was acting kind of weird, but at the end of the day, this is Eddie Kingston. He's alright. He's cool. Jon Moxley versus Penta El Zero Miedo for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship with Alex Abrahantes in the corner of Penta. Mox and Penta traded chops and forearms in the center of the ring. Moxie's Death Rider blocked by Penta. Moxie tried for the King Kong Lariat, but Penta ducked it. Penta rocked Mox with a super kick. Penta flipped over the top and landed on Moxley on the arena floor. Penta charged at Mox, but Mox countered with a release overhead suplex into the turnbuckles. Penta fired back with a sling blade for a near fall. Moxley hit a cutter on Penta, and then a package pile driver for a near fall. Moxley dropped the hammer and elbows on Penta. Mox got caught by Penta, who sat back, tried to tear Moxley's shoulder out of his socket, I believe with an armbar. Moxley DDT Penta on the edge of the steel ring steps, which was brutal, by the way. Moxley cracked Penta with the King Kong Lariat for a 2 count. Penta rallied back with foot stomps and the Fear Factor on Moxley for a near fall. Penta jumped off the ropes with a springboard, but Moxley was there to hit the Paradigm Shift and then the Death Rider, which is, Paradigm Shift pretty much is a double arm DDT, the normal version, and then the lifted version is the Death Rider. 2 were enough for Moxley to pin Penta Zero Miedo, which I still don't know why Penta Zero Miedo got a fucking title shot. But you know what? This was match of the night easily in the main event. I said that FTR Swerve and Glory had second best match of the night. The main event was the best match on the show. Easily, by far. W. Morris, I'll give Rasslin for this match 7. Actually, no. I gave FTR Swerve and Glory 8. I'll give this main event 8.5. And Logic, I'll give it a 5 because Penta did not deserve a title shot. And number 2, Jon Moxley did not need this match at all. But you know what? It all led to the bigger story because out comes the firm. They beat the fucking piss out of Jon Moxley. The Blackpool Combat Club had been locked in their dressing room because of Stokely Hathaway. Moxley tried to fight back, but the numbers were too much. MJF walked back. MJF walked out. MJF then ran to the ring and shoved the firm away from Jon Moxley. Moxley fired Stokely and the firm. When MJF turned around, Ethan Page kicked the fucking shit out of MJF. Super kicked this man to oblivion. MJF fucking died within a matter of 5 seconds. The firm took their revenge out on MJF for being fired. Ethan Page said MJF with the ego's edge. And then they beat the fucking piss out of MJF. I'm like, this is all a work, bro. There's no fucking way that the firm is really fired. MJF did it. And, you know, he's a man of his word. But I don't think MJF is going to be babyface. I mean, that's ridiculous. We do not need a babyface MJF. I'm serious. We do not need a babyface, clean-cut asshole like MJF. We do not need that shit. That's ridiculous. W. Morris, he chokeslammed MJF through the timekeeper's table, and that's how the show went off the air. All right. Well, that was pretty much Dynamite, everybody. Pretty good show. No problem from me about this show. This was better than last week, where we had fucking Tony Nese on the fucking Dynamite, which was fucking atrocious, by the way. So, quick recap of all the matches on this show. Chris Jericho and Darren Garcia versus Claudio and Will Yuta. I gave Rasslin for that match. I gave it a 7, and I gave Logic, I gave it a 4. So, yeah, that was that. FTR versus Swerve and Glory, I gave Rasslin an 8, and I gave Logic, I gave it a 6. Yeah, I gave it a 6 for that. Bryan Danielson, Sammy Guevara, I gave this match a 7.5, and Logic, I gave it a 7. I mean, I thought it was a good match, though. I mean, this could have been some main event, though. Riho Jamie Hayter got a 6, and Logic a 4. And Jon Moxley versus Penta Zero Miedo, Pentagon Jr. For the world title, I gave it an 8.5, and Logic, I gave it a 6. Not because of, the psychology. There was no psychology in the match, but, still. Other than that, this was a pretty good show of AEW Dynamite for October the 26th, 2022. I will see you all for Crown Jewel review, and also for next week's Dynamite as well. And next week's Dynamite is the go-home show. Is not necessarily the go-home show for Full Gear. We are approximately 2 weeks away from Full Gear. So look out for that episode. That's going to be a big show right there. So next week, we will review Dynamite. No Rampage review at all, because first of all, Rampage is fucking awful. I'm not even going to go over the card for Rampage because it's so fucking awful. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ben Charles. So long, everybody. We'll see you all next week for AEW Dynamite. And for the other Wrestling Logic episode, we'll see you all for Crown Jewel, which is on November 5th, as a matter of fact. We'll see you all the Friday after that. Until then, so long.